Welcome, gang. We're live from the swamp, episode 29B of Jumpin Offsides. We got our creator, founder, Chance. We got our lone tiger, JD Lyles, and yours truly, Mike Pearson. We're a special edition. Going to give you some insights, some history lessons. Just have a good swamp tales live from the swamp here with yours truly. JD, give us a little history lesson on LSU Florida rivalry.
So this is this will be the 71st meeting between LSU and Florida. 70 games that have been played on the field. LSU leads the series 34-33, 3 ties.
Let's make sure we're accurate.
Okay, 3 of LSU's wins were vacated.
So the Gators are on top.
So we'll let Mike have that one. On the field though, 33-34. LSU's won the previous 5 meetings. In this matchup, dating back to 2019, Florida holds the longest winning streak in the rivalry at 9 games from 1988 to 1996, and most of those under legendary head coach Steve Spurrier. Some notable games during this rivalry. 2003, LSU's only loss in their national championship season was a 19-7 loss to Florida in Baton Rouge. And then in 2006, we had the Tebow jump pass game, which kind of catapulted Florida to their national championship season as well. And then in the following year, in 2007, you had the 5-for-5 fourth down conversion game with LSU going on to win the national championship that year. And then, of course, who can forget the shoe throw game we had back here during COVID in 2020. So those are some of the most notable recent games over the last 20 years or so.
I like to think of that's what I like to focus on. The fond memories. I was telling my buddies here that was actually my first road SEC start of my career.
Really?
So it was a rainy, wet game.
Yep.
Doug Johnson.
We were there.
That was the first game that we saw the LSU Florida rivalry too in '99.
Set up, Saban. Why the show is my first intro to what some crazy Tiger fans are and how they bring it every game. It's a great environment. I had never got to do a night game at Tiger Stadium. So
Oh, really?
kind of give me an idea of what that is.
It's different. I mean, you start thinking about all day bourbon drinking, just the tailgating atmosphere in Baton Rouge is unbelievable. We've been going to games since, the 90s when we were young. And, it's to me, it's probably the best nighttime atmosphere in college football. The daytime's not as rowdy, it can get there, but it's usually not as rowdy. Top 5 matchup in the daytime can get pretty ruckus, but for the most part, it's loud. It's hard to hear, like it is here at night, too.
It's definitely one of those places. Like getting out there with a win. As close as they can, they're pushing.
Yeah,
it's a crazy one.
Well, earlier in the week we were able to have Kyle Williams, former LSU player, and you were in Tampa at your home as we shot it. So if you get to see our backdrop, not many podcasts can have this kind of view right here. And Jumpin Offsides is blessed enough to be here thanks to Mike and all the Florida Gators that rolled out the red carpet for Jumpin Offsides. And so we had told them we wanted to do something a little unique for this rivalry since we would all be here. So they let us do this inside the den here. So this is pretty neat, pretty cool. And just being back in this stadium, what is this bringing back to you, Mike?
Just looking at the field, looking at that tunnel down the south end zone, running out, brings back so many fond memories. Walking in, split the goalposts, and running to each other as hard as we could every game. Kind of get that first hit out of the way and get those butterflies kind of knocked out, and just always trying to find your parents up on the west side, and just hearing that crowd. And it just never gets old. It loses its luster. I think hopefully we make Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
As a fan base. This is a true home field advantage. It's hard for so hopefully the offensive game plan. Score some points on these guys. She's probably ticked off the way they forward. Good one. Sure.
You know, me and Chance have talked about this quite a bit. You know, I think the series history kind of says it, you know, without saying it. But our two programs mirror each other in a lot of ways. You know, just the kind of equal play that we've had through the years. It's always been a big game. And usually the team that won this game either went to the SEC championship, which is odd because we've never played each other. If LSU wins, a lot of times they go. If Florida wins, a lot of times they go. And it's been that way up until, of course, the last few years with Georgia and Alabama. But for a long time, it felt like that was, you know, the game that you wanted to circle on your calendar.
Shoot, for you guys for a long time, shooting Alabama. It's like marquee, greatest game ever. That almost not like every
Biggest game in the
century. Even last week, it had all the makings of what big time college football is. It's a pageantry, the mystique, and especially being
Just didn't play out like that.
No, me and the other Gator, we called that. We like to pick on old Brian Kelly a little bit, maybe too much. Good coach, I believe. Great coach. I can't even talk about this discussion. This is his for both programs. We're judged by national championships. You got coaches, and you got history. The stadium, just like the Tiger Stadium, trophies, just like you got
Pretty well.
We got three. We got 3 natties. I think y'all maybe got 4. So I mean, it's like you said, very similar programs. That's where standard. It's Jim Lower.
Yep.
Curious for you guys is obviously David. Y'all go to games, how did you go up?
Well, I never was like a big, my dad wasn't, he's not a big football. Like, he'll watch it, but it's just not him. He was a basketball guy, you know, that was his big deal. And, you know, I remember as a kid going to the Independence Bowl and watching Louisiana Tech and Maryland in a bowl game. It was 87, they tied. That was a crazy game, and Tech had a rich history of, you know, Division II national title, 70 and stuff like that. So I would go to some of those games, and as I got older, you know, Chance's dad had a lot of friends that would go to the games, tailgate, so we would go down with them. And it just kind of started with that for me. And then once I got to the point where we could go on our own, we hardly missed it. I mean, we went to the Florida LSU game every year. We always, you know, when we were in our early 20s, we were like, oh, we're going to come down here. And we did come, you know, 1 or 2, but it was, you know, now that you're a little bit older and you get to meet people and do things like that, it just makes it a lot better. But, you know, as for me, you know, I think what started me off as an LSU fan was baseball, you know, and actually winning the national championships in the early 90s, 5 throughout the 90s. You kind of, you know, you develop a sense of pride with watching them hit a walk-off home run in Omaha. There were a lot of times back then that our football team was not very good. We had some pretty crappy coaches. And to that, you know, like Kyle said, you know, the thing that Nick Saban did was he was able to see the talent that was in the state and able to keep it in the state. We didn't have the facilities for a long time, and that was something that he helped build. And, you know, y'all can attest to this, and Chance too. There were a lot of kids out of South Louisiana that came to Florida, came to Miami, went to Florida State. I mean, you can just name them off the top of your head. And, you know, I think he was able to keep that there, and it's kind of built it to what it is now.
Well, for me, it was about the same, but the first.
Right.
And then,
How much grief did you catch as a youngster?
well, I've always been one to go against the grain anyway.
Okay.
So, like, it didn't bother me too much. Of my son's that way now. Like, he's gonna be like dad, and he is a Florida Gator, and it's hard because people are like, you're from Louisiana. I don't really care. I don't like.
I don't look good. In
No, I don't. I mean, orange and blue is my color.
By the way, sports fans, JD is wearing Gator shoes today. He's trying to deny it.
They're comfortable shoes. I bought them in Dick's. The guy sold me them.
His sexy legs are there. Those are orange and blue.
Yeah, without a doubt. But no, catching grief wasn't bad. People respect it once they realize that you are with them no matter what. It wasn't just, I mean, the years y'all were there, my gosh, I mean, what was that, 5 SEC titles in the 90s?
Yeah.
Easy to root for that. But then now, you know, I mean, it's like I'm a Gator fan, I'm a Bears fan, I'm a Royals fan. A lot of lean years in there, not necessarily with Florida, but it has as of late. You know, I mean,
we haven't won this game.
this
5
is number
years.
6.
Yeah.
The Brad Stewart pick 6 was the last one. Joe Burrow's first interception at LSU. Big time drought for us. And then got to get it right. I mean, I talked to Billy back a few months ago, and I was telling him about, you know, y'all heard me and Kyle Williams going back and forth the other night about the bet we had made, making another one. Well, I told Billy about that. I mean, his mouth was gapped open just laughing at me, and he goes, man, we had them right there after the third. I said, well, let's finish them off so my fat ass isn't having to go golfing 100 degree weather, Billy.
So that ain't going to look too good either. Cause we talked with Kyle on Monday. You know, us linemen, we like to get those things skin tight as we could, and as tight as we could to the shoulder pads that have nobody grabbing onto them. So I don't know if Chance is exactly sure with that.
Yeah, I hope I'm not putting it on. I want him to put on my small head helmet because he's got an 8 3/8. So the Charmin toilet paper is going all in there just to make it fit my head. So we got to deal with that. But if not, I'm putting him in a Big Mike's tackle eligible helmet and face mask. So Big Kyle better get ready because KW is wearing some Gator gear this at Squire Creek, and I won't make him be on the hottest part of the day. I just want to see him in the swag.
We were talking earlier. Kind of run through this stuff. I'll say next.
It's crazy.
Some trophy. Yeah. Another one we talked about should have been. Got wide receivers, pick your poison. Who's got the better crew between our crew in the mid '90s and the guys I played with in the late 2000s versus all the great ones you had.
Yeah.
Especially on the late.
Yeah, later, Jamar Chase and Jefferson and all those guys.
Then you go to the defensive side. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's just who's who. Just SEC football. I think the former guy who's a part of it takes some pride in that. It's part of that.
Yeah.
Hope is the game. Keep our
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it is wrong,
Has to happen.
right? It's wrong, right?
No, I'm still with
We're
you.
33
Yes.
and 31.
Yes, correct.
So, yeah, and me and Chance, we talked about that today. I think LSU's won 11 of the last 15.
I mean, just keep living in the past.
So, no, what I'm saying
you
is,
can easily say, yeah, I
look,
never lost one against.
but my point is, like, you know, it was so lopsided up until like the
No, that's right.
middle 2000s. You know, or it just wasn't even close. And then, you know, LSU's kind of turned the table on that, you know,
Caught
because
up.
Florida was the standard of SEC football in the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And I mean, it's just the tradition that y'all have here, and you know, the people and everything. It just makes it special. And so, with that, you know, like, what do you tell us a little bit about, you know, you growing up and being a Florida fan, how you kind of came into, hey, this is where I want to play college football.
Born and raised a Gator. Yeah, so Gator fans. Watch sports enough. Family friend Tom Tyson, church we go to school with his boys. Take us up to Gator games. Sit above us in the sunshine deck, high up seats.
Yeah.
Buddy, it was like just it's kind of like that. Holy cow, I can't believe I'm sitting
Yeah.
here. 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, and then getting a chance to be recruited and sitting in the south end zone there on the bottom. And people say, you know, what's one of your biggest favorite memories? I'll tell you, it's the game I didn't play in. It was 97 Florida State. My two brothers and my wife would kind of chuckle and also be a little upset because she was my high school sweetheart at the time. And she was supposed to go with me to that game. My older brother was going to go. Long story short, he showed up at the house. My brother Kelly's going with me. He was going the whole time. Charlie shows up. My girlfriend's sitting there. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess you're going to sit at home today. I took my brothers with me. And it ended up being, some people say, the greatest swamp. Place was electric. Not that
Crazy down the sidelines, right?
And then remember the rotating quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Duck.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people sometimes forget this. And the reason I even get goosebumps now is so the high school I went to, we were all blue. That was the first game. We ran out all blue. Kid you not, we're sitting there before the game on the sidelines. Telling, Kelly, nobody's wearing any leg pads. You know, in college, and especially that time, you had to wear leg pads.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's kind of, I mean, they've got the shoulder pads on. Like, Kelly, nobody's wearing leg pads. Not that that sounds like, oh, they really, really intuitive. But I just looked odd. And then it was senior night. And then, sure enough, they were trying to keep that under wraps because when the seniors ran out, most of the time on senior night, I just kind of saw her out. The seniors were sprinting out, hugging mom and dad and getting back in because I didn't think they wanted the fans. When they came out in all blue, buddy, this place went nuts.
Really?
And then it was one of those nights where, you know, we were basically playing game record because they were number one. We were trying to make sure they didn't get changed. It was never a doubt in my mind that I was going to go to Florida. Once that night happened, I want to be a part of this. It's the arena. It's just, you talk about electricity. That's it. Hopefully, tomorrow. So,
What do you
there's just you go on. Some losses. See, even now, all that it's really neat to see Saturday. Just seeing Jack Youngblood. I mean, there's just some really, it's a megastar.
Well, and I'll back this up, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you tell me because I could be wrong about it. I could be. Worst loss here.
Oh,
I know which one it is.
yeah. My wife would, she'd agree with you on that one.
Yeah. You got both.
We started the year off. I can't recall if we were 1 or 2 because I think it was us and Miami. I always kind of say my time, I always had that stinking. I was probably that particular year. Middle of the year, lost I think 20, 23, 21. Damon Duval kicked
That's
3
right.
field goals, and 2 of them started 10, 15 yards right, and the wind pushed it back. It was just an odd night. So that kind of set us back. Tennessee games, so I got to the tail end of the year, and it was like my first time that same year being at FSU. So in a big rivalry game the week before, finally kind of getting that monkey off your back because you're judged by when I was here, and I think it's still this way. You're essentially judged on your season by 5 years.
Yeah.
It's Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, SEC, depending on who we play in the West. Whether it's LSU, it's all. So, I think make an excuse, but always have that. See, it still haunts me. It haunts Rings and haunts Todd. Because we had a great team. We just didn't get the job. And we always kind of say, hey, look, no telling if we would or wouldn't have beaten that Miami team in 01 because they are by far one of the greatest teams of all time. But I definitely know we would have given them. Nebraska just didn't have the offensive firepower.
Yeah. Well, that 2001 year, I think that Tennessee win here knocked y'all out of the SEC championship game. LSU went and played Tennessee in Atlanta.
Right.
And that was Saban's first SEC championship.
What's even, again, you don't ever want to count chicken before the match. We had beaten LSU earlier. Was it a 49-10? Or,
pretty.
So in our head, because we knew we would be, maybe we were looking ahead.
Yeah.
If I think back, we said, look, we've got Tennessee at home. We're going to beat them. We've already beat the brakes off of LSU. We're going to do it again. We're just going to walk right into the championship. Have to take care of Pearson, especially losing at home. I'm trying to think. Lost twice at home in '99. Lost to Alabama in overtime here. Lost to LSU. One. Having very many times, and I can walk on the seals and win.
Yeah, it's hard to figure out.
You kind of think in human nature, you kind of always.
That's true.
The great stuff because there's so many good things.
When in Coach's whole career here from '90 to '02, he's only lost 6 games. That's a home field advantage.
Yeah, because it's just it's again. It's not partial, but I just don't think there's another ground.
What's it like, Mike, to come out of that tunnel down there with all those people?
Your hair stands. We talk about that, especially as a freshman. Come out, as a red shirt when you're not playing, it doesn't hit you as much. I think just because you're not emotionally ramped up like you normally would. But when you come out the first time and you're in pads, you're ready to play. Just put your hand.
It's a little different.
Heart's up in your throat. Kind of almost choking back tears. It's like just overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's just a special place.
I want to go to another time, and it was an away game. And you know which one I'm about to bring up, but it revs me and JD up to hear you talk about it because I can feel the emotion. But you had a celebrity on the side, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And
we were in Columbia, 2001. Lou Holtz, so he was going to light out the Gators. He had the whole stadium, almost kind of that Penn State, sort of light out, if you will. So we're walking out to do the coin toss. Ric Flair, good friend of one of our assistant coaches, is on our sidelines. And crazies there in Columbia, they come out with his March Out song, 2001 Odyssey. So I just took the moment to give him a woo, and I'd give him the best Ric Flair smack I can on the chest. He looks at me, grabs me by the face mask and gives me the triple woo, 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 back sleeve back. We start wooing back and forth, slapping each other. Then we go walking off to do the coin toss. And I can't remember if it was Alex Brown or Marquand or Rex. Black boys are crazy. So, I mean, there's some very crazy types.
So getting to this game this week, I think it's going to be big for both of our teams. You know, LSU coming off of 2 losses in a row, Florida coming off of 2 losses in a row to Georgia, Texas. I think it looks like to me it's shaping up to be a close game. I think the spread's like 4 points. So this place is always tough to play for an away team, like you said. What are the keys to victory this week that you see for Florida?
I think for us defensively, we got to get some turnovers. Extra possessions, flip the fields. We have minimum got to get through turnovers. Best QB, we're struggling with. Should. Started 2 last week.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing I wanted to kind of go through stats. You know, as far as like LSU stats, we can go through. Nussmeier's averaging 318.4 yards a game, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That ranks second in the SEC. But the last few weeks, those turnovers have been costly, especially in Alabama the week before that. He's got 9 interceptions and a fumble in the last three games. That's huge, and you know as well as I do playing in this league, you can't do it.
That's like I said for us, when we were playing at our best as of late, is when we're getting the ball back to our offense. Said, time you get an extra possession in the SEC, and then you get an extra possession at home, defense time to rest. The fans, I would say the fans get a little rest too, press their voice and settle down a little bit and get ready. We offensively, we got to score 21. I think we score 21 and get through time.
So, Lagway, coming in for Mertz, I watched the report this morning. They feel pretty confident that Lagway's going to start playing again. Now, whether he's 100%, probably not. He's not going to be 100%, especially with the leg injury. But I feel like, he gives Florida a different dynamic on offense than they have with, even with Mertz and even with, especially with the third string guys. So
yeah, LSU's key to victory for them is the pressure, out of DJ.
Yeah,
and put pressure on his legs. Almost force him to have some unscripted scrambles and runs, and they're going to come after him in probably some 0-man blitzes and stack the A gap, and they're going to cut the front 7 loose and play man on the back end. And I think DJ beat us. See if he is serviceable.
Well, I think too, from my standpoint, Florida's going to come into this game trying to control the line of scrimmage. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run it a lot. I think that at this point it's going to be their bread and butter, even with Lagway back. And you look at just a couple of stats here without Montrell Johnson. You've got Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson, 411 yards and 6 touchdowns and 343 yards and 5 touchdowns. And so you've got 2 guys there with 11 touchdowns, in basic, not necessarily in backup roles. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they're backup running backs. Johnson, which has been out for a while, and they're both freshmen, true freshmen, and they've elevated, just like LSU's Caden Durham. Like, nobody expected him to start during the season. So these freshman running backs, to me, are going to be the key to this game, whether it's the offense of LSU or the offense of Florida.
And that's going to take me to another part with that, and that's Coach Jabbar Jalouk. He's built a running back room behind Johnson, and he's coached him up. And I mean, and then he's recruiting another big time star, Waltez Clark. But that running back room for the Gators is tough. Like they're still deep there as well with another running back that can come and take the load. So I look for Billy to hang his hat this week on that and see what happens. But kudos to Jabbar, dear friend, and I'm pulling for him because he's doing it.
I think he's kind of. I mean, he is a big run.
Shifty,
Freddie was
also.
a big dude.
Yeah.
That wiggle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to put too much on his plate because it's a big
shoes to
to
fill.
fill, and Fred's one of the all-time greats. And, I can play with him before with Jacksonville. It all reminds me of how big and fast Freddie was. He's got similar smooth, just to also. So that's a great thing.
I was impressed with the Jackson kid. He looked like he had another year too, and I think it kind of caught Georgia off guard. The amount of running backs that Florida's got. It was obvious they did not miss ATN at all. I think that was more motivation for them too. So as far as defensively, we've talked about this from my standpoint. LSU's got to stop the running quarterback. Now, I don't think that at this point Lagway's going to run.
Yeah, Milroe's not out here, Saturday.
No, Milroe's not going to be here this weekend, Tiger fans. So y'all, you don't have to wear a blindfold.
Yeah.
So I do think that Billy's going to have to get creative with that. I do think that it's going to be a heavy dose of running back, and it could be a lot of designed runs from the running back. Kind of like a wildcat type situation that they get into because, let's be obvious, they haven't stopped it yet. So
I can see this wildcat. We haven't seen a lot of it.
Should have last week, but he didn't.
And Billy could have been kind of saying, "Hey, I want to save that look."
That's right.
Yeah, true.
Because I think we all could,
That's right.
whether we had DJ or not last week, we're just not ready for Texas.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And there are a lot of teams that
Sure.
aren't. So
Yeah,
Especially in the trenches.
right. It's just not there yet.
And I think, from that aspect too, LSU's in the same sense. We're starting a lot of true freshmen, young guys up front on defense. Our front seven's fairly young. We've got Greg Penn III is an older guy, it's an upperclassman, but the same thing kind of with Florida, after the Coach O years, the cupboard was pretty dry. Even when Mullen kind of left, that was kind of the trajectory of Florida was like we're starting to lose those battles on the line of scrimmage, just like we were. So the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Texas are getting these guys that, it's just the NIL era. We've talked about this ad nauseum. You have to you got to get on par with them, or you're not going to be able to compete. So,
The last 7 SEC champions at the Hall have always had some what I call dogs across both lines. Some people that want to bully you, shit up, hurt you. That's protecting the quarterback. That's what's a team so SEC player that's typically separate. It shows up and they usually don't stack up on both sides. So
What are your thoughts as far as what's this environment going to be like Saturday? I don't think there's any chance of rain.
It's going to be nice and cool.
It is.
Got a
Always
cool
is-
front coming
is
through.
a fan-friendly environment. It's out. It's our job to keep the Gator team.
And I think they've got a lot of recruits coming in this weekend, people that weren't expected to. I saw, this morning, Billy's got some guys that are coming in. They're like, well, I didn't know he was coming. I think that now that they see that he's not going anywhere for the foreseeable future, that could change.
Yeah.
We know how these things go. But for now,
Well, they
he's
say
here.
it's a fluid process. I think that's the right thing for us right now is to have some stability. As far as staying. Performance. For us to get respected, almost like a check the box.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. This is what SEC football is all about. Back to this squad, still kind of fighting for a chance to get there.
It's an outside chance.
Yeah, correct. You still got hope.
We can still rain on that parade.
That's true. We can roll the clock back to 1997. Maybe Billy's going to roll two guys in and out.
He might.
Maybe instead of two quarterbacks, he's going to roll 3 or 4 backs in and out as a wildcat and, trickeration.
I think he'll have something up his sleeve, and that's not normally like him, but just something tells me he's going to do.
Might as well. There's no
No,
reason
we
to
have
leave
nothing
it.
to
Yeah,
lose
you
at this
don't have anything to hold back at this point.
Change.
Three games left. Florida wins 2 of the last 3. They're bowl eligible. I think that would be huge for this program.
Yeah.
I hope those 2 of
Hopefully
those
go
3.
to the top part.
I'll take the Independence Ball. You'll have to come up. Yeah, we'll see QB2. Thank him for bringing us together.
Oh.
We got to see the old Pink Palace too.
We did,
today.
yeah. I took these boys by the place that we all, I think, grew up, if you will, as youngsters into, I'll say, quasi-men. We like to prank each other. We had teammates one too many times. We shot each other with BB guns, powdered each other. Go on and on, but I won't. Just to check this up. But, this is a special place. It's always something I enjoy back. These guys could test like a show and play so often. I guess a senior moment the other day when I was going to take him to lunch and was going to take him to the swamp, and I forgot they tore it down. So we had to quickly make a quick turn. And
we opened a lot of doors that were closed.
We tried to go to a couple of watering holes and close. So I guess.
Well, instead, I got a haircut for a hug. So there you go.
That's right. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. SEC place is going to show them. Hopefully, we'll still be friends with this guy.
Oh yeah. I've had to fight off a few fans for chance in Baton Rouge through the years. So there were a lot of people. I mean, as a matter of fact, we were at the 2019 game. It's 28-28 in the fourth quarter. This old guy, I mean, he's sitting beside us. Was it 28-28? I think so. It was something like that. Chance is cheering for Florida, and he used to it. I mean,
Not
we're
being
friends.
in
Like,
anybody's
no,
face.
just cheering for your team. And this guy just gets, oh man, I mean, pissed off. And tells us he's going to get security. I'm like, for what? Like, he didn't do anything wrong. Like, it just, I think that the game was like not really going in the direction he thought it was going to go. And so he got mad and he's like, I've sat here for 52 years, and I've never had anybody sit here acting like you. And I was like, he didn't do nothing but cheer for his team. But anyway, long story short, I can take it. I'm not,
One game I did forget to mention. Flip over the head, fourth down for LSU.
Yeah, that was it. Was that here?
That was in that zone. I was sitting.
Yeah.
That was in 10.
Yeah.
That was when Urban flagged.
Great
I'm
call.
going fake.
Yeah,
You
what a
know
great
it's
call.
coming. You
Hell
can
of a
feel it.
fake. Yeah.
Les would pull that out. He'd pull his little version of the jump pass out and a fake.
I mean, that play, just flipped it over his head.
Yep.
Still, unfortunately for us, it's gutsiest call. But
Did the ball bounce up and it like
One
no,
time
he
in-
just-
that was a
no,
South Carolina game?
No,
It
but
bounced
this one,
Yeah,
the kid
bounced right in his
caught
hand.
the snap. He went place like he kicked it, and just
flipped it over.
maybe
his head.
one hand. I can't remember one hand, but
Yeah.
the fourth and like 2 or something.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I probably missed that guy.
I don't know. At least we've got a little better offense these days. I mean, we can put some. It's fireworks if nothing else. I mean, yes. I mean, we won a lot of games, but there were so many times when you would leave the stadium and just be like, "How the hell did we win that game?" Or "How the hell did we lose that?" It was so confusing. And I told Chance this, last year. To me, Napier is a lot like Les Miles. It's always run the ball, impose your will, win it in the fourth quarter. And, there's so many times that you're just like, God, I just wish we had opened it up. Every now and then you get that 49-17 games.
Yeah, heavy on the gas. No break. Mike, take us away as we close out here.
Listen,
Give us some closing thoughts on this place.
we both are a fortunate group, LSU and Florida. We've had some great teams, had some lead years. A lot of programs, not only in the SEC, great spots with us. So there could be some smile on us on Saturday, like that ball coach used to say.
Yeah.
Mile on the Gators.
So I'm going to come up tomorrow, so just keep at it. Oh. Shit, y'all being
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thanks, Mike.
As
Had a
true
good time.
Kirkendorf would say, thank you for inviting us. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Got 'em.